Hello and welcome to One Called Mama. I am your host, Sam, and thank you for being here with me today. So, I have given some thought and it occurred to me maybe we should take a step back. And for those of us who don't know where we should start with finding our calling, finding our purpose, finding our niche, where we want to go make a difference in the world. Maybe we don't even know what that looks like or how to even begin that process. It's not clear how we would even start identifying that. So that is what this episode is focused on, the first half, and we'll get into the second half. So, in the book called To Create, which I spoke on, this book right here by Jordan Raynor, which I spoke on earlier in one of my earlier episodes, he identifies three things to help us find our purpose, our calling. And I was going to share those three things with you and kind of explore what that could look like. So in my mind, I'm a very visual person. I see three circles in a triangle, kind of in a triangle, and where in the center of that triangle, they all three overlap. And that's where you would really hone in and identify your purpose, your calling. And so in the first circle, if you want to do this, you can, you don't have to. I do encourage you to kind of write down some thoughts though, as we go over these three different items that you write down, kind of make a list, if you will, or you can do the circles. And if you're visual like me and actually kind of go through that and you can fill those circles in as we're going along. But in the first circle, I want you to write down, what am I passionate about? What gets you out of bed in the morning? What do you think about a lot? What gets your heart pumping? What makes you really happy? What gets you excited? Passion looks different to different people. And sometimes it's, something you want to be an advocate for, and sometimes it's something you want to be an advocate against. So, what is that thing for you? What does that look like? The second thing I want you to write down is, what gifts has God given me? And you could look at this question in two different ways. You could say, and I would encourage you to do that, to do both, to write down like kind of two lists for this, if you will. You have spiritual gifts. If you are a Christian, a saved believer, then you have spiritual gifts. If you are not, you are still gifted. You still have gifts that God has given you. They're just not spiritual gifts. But you have natural ability and talent, things you're just intrinsically good at. And that overlap where you are passionate about something and the thing that you're really good at, usually you will find that they complement each other. So write those things down. It could be anything too, and this could be kind of fun. So, are you good at math? Are you good with computers? Are you good? Do you have really pretty handwriting? Are you an artist? Do you love doing Facebook Lives? I mean, it could be anything that you're good at, that you enjoy, that that you just have natural skill in. And for the spiritual gifts, I did a study years ago, not fully, I wasn't able to do the full study, but it was about spiritual gifts and how every person has at least three. And every Christian receives one from the Father, one from the Son, Jesus, and one from the Holy Spirit. And they each give you a different type of giftedness. And I don't remember the full study. It was fascinating though. If you can find it, or if I can find it, I'll try to like link it in the description. But it was very neat. And So every Christian has at least three, I believe. For me, for instance, I have the gift of prophecy and the hospitality and acts of service. So I have done, classes and quizzes and things like that over the years on where I'm spiritually gifted. And so it's easier for me to really identify that, and just being self-aware, knowing that that is where I'm gifted and identifying that as a spiritual gift because I know that it is. But if you don't know, there are so many resources online where you can do quizzes and things like that, answer questions. Some of them I'm sure are better than others, and I would definitely recommend reaching out to your pastor and seeing if he has like a specific resource that you could use, like maybe something he can recommend. And a lot of churches too will do classes on spiritual giftedness. So if you have never done one of those, I definitely recommend that. It's going to be so good for you, and you'll be very glad that you did it as well. So write down your gifts, write down what you're good at, write down what you love to do, and it can be anything. And the final thing is, where do I have the greatest opportunity to love others? And I think this one is the coolest one out of the three. And it's because it really takes it all in. It gives you like a lens, and it focuses in on really where can you use your specific gifts and passions, and how those work together and how they'll complement each other, because they will. And where could that specifically be used? What groups of people need you the most? Where do you have the biggest opportunity to love others? And that is where the magic will really happen. That's where you will find God doing some really neat stuff and really start just seeing Him open up doors to things that you never would have thought of, because He is such a creative God. He is such an imaginative, resourceful God. It's so neat to see how He pulls things together and brings things full circle. And I'll probably talk about that a lot because I've just seen it so much in my own life, and so many things that seemed random and maybe that they weren't related. And I realize later that they are. And it's always just so neat to me to see Him do that. So, where do you have the most opportunity to love others? I would love to know what your answers are and what you feel God is showing you, or what you're seeing, what connections you make whenever you do this. Because I believe you will start to see a picture of something coming together. So, the next thing that might be on your mind, maybe not, it certainly was for me when I felt like I started to see what God was telling me to do, was I have no time. I have no time. There's no way I can devote time to this. There's just nothing left of me. And that wasn't necessarily true. And there's a second exercise that I want you to do. And first, before we do that, I believe in the power of questions. It's a skill that I have been learning for years. Asking really great, powerful questions is one of the best things you can do for yourself and for others. So here's the question: where can you reclaim 30 minutes of your time? And I would encourage you to write that down, but make it personal. So say, instead of you, say, where can I reclaim 30 minutes of my time? Now that you have that question, I want you to open up your phone, and you might be knowing where I'm going with this. Go to your settings, and there will be a place in there. It's going to look different for everyone, Mine, it's digital well-being and parental controls. If I click that, it will tell me where I have spent my time on my phone today. And it'll tell me how much time I've spent within certain apps. And it'll group the types of apps together. So Facebook, Messenger, Messages, YouTube, that kind of thing. So, with that question in your head, where can you reclaim 30 minutes of your time looking at where you are currently spending your time on your phone? Pick the things, let's say it's Facebook. Pick that thing and make a conscious decision that you will spend 30 minutes less on Facebook, and instead you will do or work on yourself, on this goal, on this passion project, on figuring out what your calling is, instead of being on social media. And it may not seem like much. 30 minutes seems negligible. But over the course of a year, if you gave yourself 30 minutes to work on this, on discovering your calling, on working towards your goals, on finding your purpose, that is going to add up to a lot. And you are going to see some really amazing things happen in your life, even with just 30 minutes. And I think if you start with 30 minutes, you're going to find that you're probably going to want to give more time to it and find other ways that you can pull back time, reclaim time that you can use on the work that makes the most sense, that matters, instead of just maybe wasting it on social media or whatever else, whatever it is for you. This is, to me, this is very powerful. This is very, it's very good to remember that we just kind of are so wasteful with our time, and to be reminded where we are actually spending it and how we're using it can be kind of a gut punch. So that being said, now that you know, you can start taking action. You can decide that you can take back that time that you thought you didn't have, and you can be intentional. One final note on this topic as you are exploring what your calling might be, what your gifts are, I want to encourage you to not judge your giftedness and not judge your ability and not maybe downplay it or see it as not important. You have specific abilities, specific gifts, and the entire makeup of you, which no one else has, your life experiences, the way your brain thinks, the things that you love, the things that you feel very strongly about are all part of what makes you you. And no one else is in the world or ever will be just like you. You are unique and you are on purpose. And everyone has a specific calling on their lives, a specific purpose, and that they are created for. And I 100% believe that. So it's so important to remember that there is no small calling and there is no small set of abilities, because I have seen how God takes everything and, like I've already said, brings it together full circle. And I'm going to share a story, and it happened just like as of recording, it happened about a week ago. I was at a vendor event. I was set up with my small business, and my partner was there, and I was having a moment where I just felt like I was wasting my time being there. I just thought I shouldn't be spending my time doing this. I should probably be working on the podcast. I should probably be home with the kids, with my husband. I this is a waste of my time. I was just going to a dark place, and I don't really even know it kind of hit me out of nowhere. And I was just questioning why I was even bothering with this. And so I had gotten up to walk around, and I went back to our booth and sat down. It was slow. And the booth kind of across from us, the two ladies that were running it came over, and they just started talking. We had kind of talked the day before and introduced ourselves and met them, and they were very nice. And they just kind of came over and started talking to us for no reason. And I, for some reason, don't remember why, I told them I had just started a podcast. And it was so weird for me to even say that. And one of the ladies looked at me and she said, "Really? For some reason, I don't know why, but I have really wanted to be on a podcast. I want to be like a guest on a podcast." And she said, "I know that sounds crazy. It sounds so weird, but I just have this strong desire to be like a guest speaker on one." And I I looked at her and I said, "Well, I mean, I think I can make that happen." And I told her what the show was about, and it was perfectly aligned with her story and what she is doing and the business, the nonprofit that she has started. And we exchanged numbers, and she is going to be a guest on the show very soon, I hope, as long as our schedules can line up and we can get in and get recorded. But it was just that very moment that I was doubting my decision to do what I was doing, which I do love doing. God immediately brought her over to me and validated my decision to be there, reminded me that I am making really good connections when I do these shows and events, and showed me that he was working in her heart, preparing her to meet me. And I mean, isn't that incredible? Isn't that incredible that that is how God works, and that is how he brings things full circle? So don't judge and don't underestimate whatever it is that you want to do and feel led to do, because I promise you, friend, God will always bring it full circle and he will redeem it. He has always got things running in the background. So I hope that you have found maybe a good starting point, some encouragement, and some practical tips for getting started in your journey. I look forward to exploring more topics like this, more things, more aspects, and learning from more women like this woman that I met last weekend, to show us how God is working in their lives and what it looks like when we say yes and, well, yes and what else to God, and starting that process with him. If you would like to email me, my email is onecalledmama@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you, and any suggestions or ideas for future episodes, I would be more than glad to hear those suggestions. I hope you have an amazing day and an amazing week, and I will be talking to you again very soon. Blessings.